Hey everyone, it's Jason Pannone, Head of Reference and Cultural Assets Manager here at the East Hartford Public Library. For this installment of Raiders of the Lost Archive, I'm going to show you some photographs that I found the other day from the south end of Main Street in East Hartford, roughly 1910 or so, very early in the 20th century. It's roughly around 200 Main Street from 156 Main up to 204 Main. Shows the service station that was there and roughly where the site of Cox Automotive was. And I think it's a really neat snapshot of early 20th century East Hartford when the roads were dirt and it was not as developed as it was back then. So let's take a look at them. The first house I want to show is this one that the legend on the back of the photo says was owned by Milton Cox. The photograph dates from approximately 1910, and it's 156 Main Street. Doing a quick search on Google Maps, it looks like the house is still there. It's been changed over the years. What's also neat to see about the photograph is just how not built up the land was around that house at the time. It's hard to remember that East Hartford back in the late 19th and early 20th century was very much a rural farm town. It was not very built up. That really only came in the 1930s and then especially after World War II with the building up for the war effort and around Pratt and Whitney. Picture is the Singer gasoline station owned by Howard Cox. This is at approximately 200 Main Street where the Cox Automotive Service used to be. I think it's neat that even this far back, you can see just how long-lived automotive services were in East Hartford. And notice that, I think looking at the picture, that's a dirt road. So even in the early 20th century, roads weren't paved, and busy Main Street would have been a dirt road. This picture is of the mill pond that used to sit behind 200 Main Street, according to the legend on the photograph. Behind it, it stood just right behind the service station. It's not there anymore. I see the brook running through there. It was probably filled in when not World War II, excuse me, when Route 2 was erected, because that looks like it just goes right behind it. So whenever Route 2 was built, that's when the pond was probably filled in. The back of this photograph says it was taken in the late 1800s and that it's of the Gardenerrias House, which later became the Melhorn Place, next to the gas station at 200 Main Street in East Hartford. Eventually, the house was torn down to make way for parking, so it's no longer there. But there's a neat little snapshot of life in East Hartford in the late 19th century. I can make out four figures in there. Looks like two women in front, a man, perhaps a child. The photograph is kind of faded. But anyway, looks really neat and just another piece of East Hartford history. This last photograph I just realized is 204 Main Street, and it is the Gardenerrias House, probably taken about the same time as the previous one, maybe a little bit later. So again, the house, and it looks like the outbuilding, is no longer there. It's now a parking lot. But again, see the dirt road. Just notice how not built up it is around there. There's no highway. It's just a plain old country dirt road that would have led into East Hartford from Glastonbury and then over the river to Hartford. So there you go. Little peek at East Hartford back in the late 19th, early 20th century. I hope you enjoyed it. So we'll see you next time. And until then, be well. Keep washing your hands. Practice safe social distancing. And we'll see you then. Bye.